The Raiders continue to be a top talking point here on Radio Row at the Moscone Center, but this time it's not about Clint Kubiak. It's not about Fernando Mendoza. Instead, it's about Maxx Crosby. That plus more comes up on Thursday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for February 5th, 2026.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your number one sports podcast network. Of course, we're very proud of that. We're also very proud of the fact that this show continues to grow each and every day, and that's because of your support and the great job that my man Ari does behind the scenes, making sure we look good and sound good by way of the YouTube page. So we shout him out. We appreciate him. He does a lot of great work. So shout out to you, Ari. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up as well at your boy Q254. And, of course, we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line for you, 707-654-4693. If you want to be a part of the show, we'll make sure to make that happen. As a matter of fact, coming up in segment number 3, we'll hear from you. We'll close out the show as we normally do, calls and texts, a lot of great feedback. Segment number 2, you'll hear from former Raiders GM Mike Mayock. Always was great to catch up with him when he was a member of the Silver and Black. Always loved hearing from him when he was just part of NFL Network doing the NFL draft and breaking down prospects. But caught up with him on Radio Row. I'm sat at right now, and it was really good conversation. And so I'll just bring you the part of the conversation where we talk about Fernando Mendoza, what he sees in him as a potential franchise quarterback. Potentially the Raiders could draft him number 1, and also the pairing with Clint Kubiak, who we all believe will sign that contract to be the Raiders' next head football coach once Super Bowl 60 gets wrapped up. So about 4 or 5 minutes with Mike Mayock. You'll hear that coming up. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Here in segment number 1, just news and notes of the day, and it all has to do with Maxx Crosby. We'll jump into that after I tell you about the title sponsor of this show, which is PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks apps today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So day 3 is in the books. We're at the home stretch now. Just got a couple more days left here in San Francisco on Radio Row, and it's been a fantastic 3 days, and I'm expecting a very busy Thursday and Friday, so it's going to be a lot of fun as far as I'm concerned. But another day and another Raider conversation. This time it's about Maxx Crosby, and I'll go ahead and paint the picture and just let you know that it seemed strange to me that all of a sudden Diana Russini from The Athletic and also Jay Glazer, Fox Sports NFL insider, decided that on the same day to 2 different outlets they were going to talk about Maxx Crosby and him not either wanting to be a Raider, him wanting to be traded out, or him wanting to play for Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. And really, Jay Glazer got the party started when he joined Jason Fitz, good friend Jason Fitz, from Yahoo Sports to talk about Maxx wanting out. And then Diana Russini was on another set here. And look, around Radio Row, there's hundreds, and I mean hundreds of outlets that are here, from podcasts to radio stations, TV stations, you name it, it's here. So these things could happen, but to me, it kind of set off one of those, wait, hold on. 2 different insiders at the same time pretty much dropped some information that was similar to each other. To me, that just kind of caught me off guard a little bit. But as I mentioned, Jason Fitz is a really good friend of mine. I actually did my very first ESPN radio show back in 2021 with Jason Fitz. He's really the reason why I got the job at ESPN. He passed my contact on to the powers that be, and they decided to hire me there. So me and Jason Fitz go really far back, really good dude, really talented guy, and he's a part of Yahoo Sports, has a fantastic show each and every day that he does, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time, but because he's here in San Francisco, it's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time. So that being said, he was walking down, the way here, he was walking up and down Radio Row, and he happened to pass my table when I was live on the air. And this is after the information had, been put out there on social media, and people had a little buzz going around Radio Row. People had started coming up to our table saying, "What's this about Maxx Crosby?" People are tweeting at me, "Hey man, is what Jay Glazer talking about Maxx Crosby wanting out? Is this true?" Well, the guy that Jay Glazer dumped the information on was Jason Fitz. So he sat down for a few minutes to talk about how this whole thing came to fruition. Check it out. So, Fitz, let's get to the matter at hand. The big buzz around here now.
It's my fault.
It's your fault.
It is literally. Okay, so let me just
tell us the story of this. Yes.
So here's the thing. Yahoo Sports Daily is my show from 9 to 11, usually Eastern time, 9 to 11 Pacific this week. We're over at the Yahoo offices. We had Jay Glazer on today. We knew we were having Jay Glazer on, right? So what I wanted to talk to Jay about was sort of how, this was my whole intent going into the question, right? My intent was, how, if you're Maxx, do you listen to a new coaching staff and really buy into all of it, right? So I'm setting up, but I don't know Jay well at all, right? So I'm setting up, I'm like, hey, Max is a buddy, as everybody knows. Like,
Right.
Max is a buddy. That's all I said. And so he starts talking, and he just starts flowing. And I can tell you know how when you're interviewing somebody, you can tell what they're trying to say. So I just flat out asked him, I'm like, all right, is Maxx Crosby going to be a Raider next season?
Yeah.
And to my shock, we were the first interview Jay had. Jay hadn't talked to anybody. Jay just said, no. And it was that, and it was so stunning to me that it was that abrupt. My co-host Caroline Fenton sort of steps in and says, "Was that because of the Raiders or because of Max?" And he says, "Max," and he starts talking about frustration. So look, at this point, I'm no longer in fan mode. I'm in interviewer mode.
Yeah,
I got to find out what that means. So my question is, what kind of haul would come in return? And he said more than they got for Micah. And it was
How is that possible?
I don't agree that
Yeah.
it would be more than
Wow.
Micah.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. It's all of this was stunning to me in the moment. So you know how it goes at the end of it. I was like, man, that's pretty shocking. That's it. I go about my day. I'm doing everything else. All of a sudden, I'm getting texts from people I haven't talked to in a decade.
Right.
They're like, you're trending right now on Twitter. Yahoo didn't even tag me in the original tweet of it, so I didn't know it had gone out.
Yeah.
I looked at 500,000 views in like the first 45 million. Everybody's freaking out.
Right.
And I get it. And I'll be honest, again, I'm always transparent with you,
For sure.
transparent with this audience. Max is a buddy.
Yeah.
I text Max. I haven't heard back. So I just genuinely don't know. I've seen people already, you always say you're friends, so find out what the truth is. Well, at the same time, part of the reason I'm friends with Max is because I have never, ever put my business
Right.
in front of my friend. I've never asked Max for a damn thing.
Right.
And I never will,
Right.
right? Like, that's the thing to me. Is like, I'm not asking Max for off-the-record information. I'm not asking him for context. This is a human being that I've spent time with that I just love spending time with. So
Right.
he might not respond to me on it. My intent was not to create a viral moment.
Right.
But if Jay Glazer's going to create that viral moment,
Right.
what am I going to do?
Right. He did. He created a huge buzz, right? And so now.
It's everywhere. Like,
And
national, everybody's like, it's going to be all over TV tomorrow.
Right. But the thing is, it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong because you're the guy that had the conversation, it feels like this is like a conversation that Max may have had with Jay after he got shut down. Or is this recent?
Oh, no. So a bit of both.
Okay.
Like, Jay went into the fact that, according to Jay, and I would implore anybody to go watch the whole interview. I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it is.
But the funny thing is, Jay said that when Max got shut down, Max called Jay and said, I don't want to be shut down. And Jay said he had to call SpyTech and say, hey, man, there are certain guys you just can't do that to. There are certain guys that just you can't shut them down. So, and then in the course of the rest of the conversation, I got the vibe from Jay that, this is an ongoing thing. Now, I don't know why Jay picked. Maybe we were just lucky to be the first one in line, and he was going to drop that to the first person that asked.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know that I'm sitting there saying, okay. But it definitely felt to me like this is not something that has gone away. That being said, we go through this all the time, right? I don't know what Max wants. Does Max want to be part of it? How can Max know what he wants today when he hasn't even really talked to Kubiak yet?
Right.
Jay said that Mark Davis and Maxx Crosby are very close and that they love each other and they have a very close relationship. And he said that Max has gone to Mark Davis and said, I don't want to go through a rebuild. Now, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would say to everybody listening, if Max doesn't want to go through a rebuild, is that bad?
No.
My guy's put everything on the line that he can.
And he wants to win. He wants to win. Yeah.
He wants to win. So, I keep saying to every Raiders fan, it's win-win. If Max goes somewhere where he can win a bunch of football games, congrats. He wins football games, and he'll be a Raider for life for all of us.
Right.
If Max decides to stay, it's a win because you get Max. But all of this is going to come down to what can SpyTech do? How do you either fix the relationship or how do you get the most out of the haul that you can?
So there's the story right there on how it all dropped from Jay Glazer's point of view, right? Jason Fitz obviously was doing the interview there, Yahoo Sports. And again, Diana Rossini had mentioned on another show that Maxx Crosby wanted to play for Mike Vrabel. And he also referenced the time that Mike Vrabel was his head coach there at the Pro Bowl. And so you could take that for what it's worth. But to me, again, two insiders all of a sudden dropping similar knowledge and similar details about Maxx Crosby on the same day. I don't know if that's I don't know where that's originated from, if that's a Maxx Crosby side of things, if that's a Raiders side of things. I'm not too sure exactly where it came from, but just, again, kind of trying to give you the perspective from where I'm sitting at here on Radio Row as all this knowledge is coming in. But you hear how it all came to be from Jason Fitz' side of things, who, again, was conducting the interview. And if anybody I have a lot of confidence in and a lot of belief in, it would be Jason Fitz, right? He has no agenda, as you heard. He's really good friends with Maxx Crosby. He would never, reach out to him and say, hey, I need this information, this off-the-record information. Like, he just doesn't put his friendship in that kind of a position. And I'm the same way. I don't do that either. I talked to Maxx Crosby just a few weeks ago at a charity event in Las Vegas, and, everyone, man, how come you didn't ask him about if he's happy with the team or not? Because that wasn't the time or place. Right. And again, I'm friends with Max, and I don't feel the need to have to always dig for information each and every time I see him. I could just say, hey, what's up? Shake his hand and keep it pushing. Right. And say, hey, and that's just how it is at times. And I know some people always want the information. That's fine. That's cool. I'm not an NFL insider. I pass along the information when it needs to be. So something we talked about when it comes to Max, though, and I've said it so many times from the minute that they sat Max down for the final 2 games of the season, I said, if Max is going to be traded, it's not going to be a Raiders thing. It's going to be a Max thing. If he wants out, I think that they would find a way to, move him because of everything that he's done for the organization, all the faithfulness, all the hard work, all the grind, all the sweat, all the blood, all the tears that he's provided the organization. I think that they would do right by him if he felt like he needed out. I don't believe at all that the Raiders have any intention on moving him, right? And who knows if this is going to come to fruition or not. It's just something that's floating around at this stage of the game. And it was funny because we had Ian Rappaport on my show as well from NFL Network, NFL Insider. And, of course, this is after the buzz of Maxx Crosby wanting out is already floating around Radio Row. So, I asked him straight up about Maxx Crosby and what he thought about, this potential trade request that, again, we don't know because we haven't heard it from the man himself.
As far as I'm concerned, he's a Raider right now.
Right.
What happens, I don't know. I mean, when John Spytek is asked the question and he answers very honestly that, sort of opens the door to a possible trade, I would say, all right, then one could potentially happen. I mean, does he want to be a Patriot? I don't know.
Right.
But I would say this. If someone trades for Maxx Crosby, they're getting a very good player who's still got a lot left. And I think if you're the Raiders, there's nothing wrong with saying it was an awesome run. He was a great player. We're going to get assets and collect and try to build.
So if they were to entertain the trade Max, what do you think is realistic as far as what they can get back in capital?
It's not going to be Micah Parsons because he was younger.
Right.
Still is younger. But, late 1 would be real. And, because the Raiders, thankfully, were bad enough, they don't have to trade to get up to 1. They got it.
Right.
So, it's all just capital. So, if that's what it was, look, they're not going to replace Maxx Crosby. They're not. Even if they hit on a great pass rusher, still not going to replace him. But what you do is you replace him with a player, and then you use the money to go get other good players and really build up the foundation of your team. For sure, you can make an argument that trading it makes sense.
Well, there's Rap Sheet talking about, hey, as far as he's concerned, he's a Raider until he's not. And he doesn't think that the haul for Maxx Crosby, if in fact the Raiders were to trade him, would be as high as Micah Parsons. Now, Jay Glazer did go on to say in that interview with Jason Fitz, and I do encourage you to go check it out on YouTube, he said he thinks that the haul would be bigger than Micah Parsons. I'm not too sure why that would be. I think Micah Parsons, as a younger dude, like Ian Rappaport said, and has made more, I would think, impactful plays as far as dominating and just destroying and wrecking games. I think that he would still go for more than Max would. But again, if a team really, really wants him, really, really covets him, I mean, look, I'm trying to remember who brought it. I think it was Cynthia Freeland who brought up, look what the Colts gave for Sauce Gardner. So you never know. If a team really covets a guy, what they would be willing to give up. But that's kind of where it stands right now. It's no need to speculate. This is going to all come to fruition one way or the other. He's either going to get traded or he's not going to get traded, or he's going to come out and say that he wants a trade, or he's going to come out and say he doesn't want to be traded. Something will happen sooner rather than later. As far as I know, there could be some more buzz on Radio Row on Thursday afternoon or whatever the case may be when it's very busy, it's very hectic, and there's a lot of information that'll be passed along. And then guess what? Right around the corner is a scouting combine. So if there's going to be some stuff that goes down and some conversations that go down between teams, agents, and whatnot, it'll be there in Indianapolis at the scouting combine. But that's the latest and the greatest when it comes to Maxx Crosby. You know, I always say where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm sure that there's a little something going on behind the scenes. But again, as I've said many times, if Max is going to get traded, I think it's going to be a Max request and not a Raiders request. And look, it could be a blessing in disguise, right? I mean, many people have called in and said, you know, hey, the best thing to do would be to trade Max and get the much draft capital, because by the time the Raiders are going to be good, he's not going to be in his prime anymore, and he might not be that effective of a player. And look, if Max doesn't want to go through a rebuild, you know, take it a step further, this will be my final point on it, I don't blame him, right? He's been in the league 7 years. At some point, it's like, okay, how many times are you going to start and stop, rebuild again? Oh, this is not going to be a rebuild. It's going to be this is a 10-win team. Remember how happy he was after he won week 1 against the New England Patriots? Oh, we back. That's right, we back. Like, he was fired up. Well, he only won 2 more games the rest of the season. So, and he didn't play in the 3rd game that they won of the season. I mean, think about that. They won the last game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Maxx Crosby wasn't playing in that. So he only won 1 more game the rest of the season, and that was against the Tennessee Titans, week 7? So not a lot of winning that Maxx Crosby has done. And so if he does not want to go through a rebuild, I honestly don't blame him. But obviously it'd be disappointing, you know, if that were to come to fruition, because Max is a fan favorite. He's a heart and soul of the team, and I hate to see him go dominate somewhere else, but I also totally respect it. So that's the latest when it comes to Maxx Crosby here from Radio Row. Maybe some more will come out a little bit later on today. But coming up next, we're going to hear from Mike Mayock. I caught up with him on Wednesday. All things Clint Kubiak and Fernando Mendoza. His thoughts on that coming up next in today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about a couple great sponsors we have here on the show, and the first one is FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. So whether you're backing the favorite, which is the Seahawks, or riding with the underdog, the Patriots, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after Super Bowl, the season is over. Finito. Done. It's a wrap. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. I also want to tell you about ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. Sure, you want someone who's in network, nearby, and has availability. But you also want a doctor who listens, makes you feel comfortable, and explains things clearly. That kind of doctor, it does exist, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love without all the hassle. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states, covering over 200 specialties, from primary care and dentistry to dermatology and eye care. And I'll tell you what, you'll definitely be putting off doctor appointments longer than you should. You know that happens all the time. Work, life, anything else. It's easy to delay, but ZocDoc will make the process simple. You can search by specialty or symptoms and actually build a care team that works for you. You can also re-verify patient reviews so you feel confident choosing a doctor that you'll actually like. Stop putting off those doctor appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor that you love today. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to jump right into it, man. Former Raider GM Mike Mayock, had an opportunity to catch up with him on Wednesday on my radio show. Matter of fact, I actually had this conversation. I played this on ESPN radio on my game night show on ESPN radio. Just really good stuff with Mike Mayock, but went a little long there in segment number 1, so I just want to jump right into it. He's talking all things Fernando Mendoza and also Clint Kubiak. So here's a couple good minutes with former GM Mike Mayock.
You know, the more I watched him, the better I liked him, because his physical tool set is not overwhelming.
Right.
Okay, so the first 3 tapes I put in this year were I wanted to see him on the road against really well-coached teams in front of big crowds. So I picked Iowa, Oregon and Penn State.
Okay.
All 3 games, he had to win the game in the second half in the fourth quarter.
Right.
And the Penn State game was unbelievable. I don't know if you saw
yeah.
If you haven't taken a close look at that, man, throw that tape on because he's throwing back shoulder. Now the receivers made plays, but he gave them chances to make plays.
Right.
So he showed me he understood clock management on that last drive, and he could put the ball in very small areas under critical duress.
Right.
That nervous system's a big deal to me, right?
Right, yeah.
So then you go into the playoffs and you watch what he does with his legs. Even though he's not a great athlete, he wins the game in the national championship game on quarterback draw.
Right.
I mean, so the more I watch the guy, the more I appreciate what he does. And the comp I'm going to give for you is a guy I've known since he was a high school kid, watch him play basketball. That's Matt Ryan. Okay. Tall.
Yeah.
Kind of skinny. Good arm, not a great arm. Pretty good athlete, certainly not a disruptive great athlete.
Right.
But this is what Fernando has to do. If the Raiders take him with number 1, I think the side conversation to this is the Raiders have to give him an infrastructure that he can succeed. That's really the most important thing. But for the kid himself, if you want to play like Matt Ryan, number 1, you got to be 90% above the shoulders. And I think he can.
Yale guy, right? The guy, he was committed to Yale.
Yale before he went out to Cal, right? And Cal's not a slouch either.
No, exactly. He's got between the ears.
You're exactly right. Number 2, can you be an assassin under pressure like Matt Ryan?
Right.
And you've seen that throughout the entire season in the fourth quarter in crucial moments. And number 3, and this is the one I don't know yet, can you individually push a franchise in one direction and say we're all in, all of us, let's go.
Right.
Wideouts, we're flying here, we're all going to meet in the summer, we're going to, running backs, you're coming too. Like every day of the year, are you that guy? Because Matt Ryan was.
Right.
I just don't know whether or not that's his.
Right. That'll be TBD.
Exactly.
Right.
And I can't tell you what that is.
Exactly. Mike Mayock is with us here, Game Night, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app. So it looks like Clint Kubiak, who's the OC of the Seahawks, is going to be the head coach of the Raiders. What about that pairing?
Yeah.
Kubiak and Mendoza.
I mean, I like it because I think what you're seeing is play action. And even though he's not a great athlete, he can run naked boot.
Right.
He can move the pocket and do those things. He did them in Indiana. What I like for him from an infrastructure perspective with Kubiak is you've got a young running back that I think is really talented. And once you get things rolling in the offensive line, so you got a really good, talented running back. You got 2 good tight ends. Now, your wide receiver room has got to get way better.
Yeah.
You got to solidify and upgrade the offensive line. You got to do certain things to help this kid, but because he's not just going to stand there and throw the ball 50 times a game.
Right.
That's not what he is.
Right.
What he is I think the way that Kubiak's going to want to win, which you've seen with Sam Darnold. Run the ball, play action. But to Sam Darnold's credit, the first playoff game he only threw it 17 times because they killed. The first game was San Francisco.
Oh, they killed him. Yeah.
Second game, he threw for 350 and 3 touchdowns and didn't turn it over.
Right.
So they're going to be. So I think Mendoza is a really good fit for what Kubiak wants to do. But more like you and I have seen so many high first-round quarterbacks fail.
Yeah.
And the reason is usually that the team can't surround them with the right people to protect the kid. And I don't mean just pass protect. I mean in every way.
Right.
So if they can protect this kid for a year or 2, help him grow with the organization, build around him, they got a chance.
Always love to hear breakdowns from Mike Mayock. Always thought he was great at the breakdowns when he was part of NFL Network, when he was at the Combine, and he was breaking down each and every one of the players, and then they'd have the long conference call, and he gives such detailed answers. Just one of the best in the business, and always like catching up with him. Even caught up with him for a few minutes after we were done having that conversation. Just got a lot of respect for the former GM. I know it didn't work out well for him with the Raiders after he got fired, but man, he's just good at what he does. So hopefully you enjoyed that breakdown, just getting a little bit more on the potential pairing, Fernando Mendoza and Clint Kubiak and Fernando Mendoza. Coming up in segment number 3, your calls and texts will close out the show. 707-654-4693. We hear from you next. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about a couple more great sponsors we have here on the show, and the first one is Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, well, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, you need to trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates and help them reach them faster. If you need to hire someone fast, you go straight to Indeed. Be very specific about what you need, real experience, and not just a resume buzzword. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. I tell you right now, we've already filled our job at the radio station, and I'm still getting emails all the time from candidates that are like, hey, man, I would love that job. Well, the job's already been filled, but that's how good Indeed is. They got all the information to all the qualified candidates so quick that they continue to hit up my inbox. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of the Locked On Raiders podcast will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now. Support the show by saying that you heard about it right here. Indeed. Terms and conditions apply. Check them out today. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and text draft that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Before we get into that, do want to thank you so much for making this the first listen of the day. Up first, we got a call from my guy Rahul in Phoenix. He's calling about the possibility of drafting Mendoza and having a bridge quarterback to start the season. Here's Rahul in Phoenix.
Thank you. It's Rahul from Phoenix. Just calling about the possibility of a bridge quarterback for Fernando Mendoza, assuming we draft him, etc. I do think that assuming we draft Fernando, that we should not start him week 1. And I think there's a few reasons for that. The most important of those reasons, at least for me, is I want to first confirm that our offensive line is reasonable and good. Putting Mendoza out there with an O-line that is hodgepodge could be the first step in ruining this kid's career. So I think the very first thing we need to do before we put Mendoza out there is have a few games where we watch the OL and confirm that they're actually competent. In terms of who the bridge quarterback should be, I actually like AOC in this role. The first reason is obviously just a logistical one. He's under contract. We don't have to go find a new guy. Secondly, he's not being paid a lot, so we're not going to use a lot of resources that we certainly could use elsewhere to build this team. And I think the last reason is that AOC is not a very mobile guy. And so he's the perfect kind of quarterback to use if we want to confirm that our offensive line is good. Because a mobile quarterback is going to make a bad offensive line look competent. But AOC is not that kind of guy. So if the OL is bad, you're going to know right away because AOC is going to be on his butt. But if AOC has time, then that tells you the O-line is really good because AOC is not someone who can buy time, at least very often. So I like AOC in the bridge quarterback role. I don't think we should be spending resources to get new bridges, and I definitely don't think we should be putting Geno back out there. Geno has simply left too bad a taste amongst the fans on this organization. I don't think anyone, including Geno, wants to see him in a Raider uniform again. Those are my 2 cents on the bridge. One love.
Rahul, thanks so much for the call, my man. I do think that Aiden O'Connell would make sense as a bridge quarterback for every reason that you mentioned, especially because he's still under contract, right? He's not getting paid a lot. He's a pro's pro. I'll always give Aiden that props. He's never going to be one of those guys that, is dragging his shoulders, dragging his feet, has his head tucked down, his lip poked out, none of that. He's always doing what the team asks him to do. Geno, they've got to move on from him. There's just no way I see him coming back. That's bad for him. That's bad for the Raiders. That's bad for Raider Nation. I just think that everyone needs a clean break from Geno Smith. But Aiden O'Connell, I could definitely see him being that guy. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Up next, got a text from 307 Ghost Town Raider. He says, hey, Q, does Jay Glazer have any idea what he's talking about concerning the Raiders and Maxx Crosby parting ways? I feel like it's a pretty bold statement for him to make without any strong corroboration. I'm not saying I disagree with the idea. After all, the Raiders haven't exactly won many games with him here, and 2 first and 2 second rounders, Jets maybe, sound like a plan for the future. Either way, I'm cool with it, but Jay Glazer would be a fool to make such a statement if he didn't have some good info, wouldn't he? 307 Ghost Town Raider. Thanks so much for that. I do appreciate you. And, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He didn't just make it up, right? He didn't just pull it out his backside and throw it up against the wall and hope it stuck, right? There's obviously something to it. It's come from somewhere. I've heard rumblings before that Max could want out, but it's nothing that, is reportable or even talk about, because, again, it's just rumblings. It's nothing from Max himself. It's nothing like he said, hey, yeah, I want out. I'm not happy here. Nothing like that. So, obviously, Jay Glazer got that from someone. I mentioned Diane Rossini as well. She, brought that up on a whole nother platform. So, there's something there. The question is, who is it coming from? Like, we don't know that. Is it coming from Max? Is it coming from the Raiders? Is it coming from other teams? Is you know what I mean? Like we just don't. Is it coming from his agent? Like nobody really knows exactly where it's coming from. But I'll tell you, Jay. I don't know. I mean, he was out here on Radio Row. He was very busy going from station to station, and as Jason Fitz, and you heard him in segment number 1, he's like, we're the first ones to talk to him. So I'm not too sure, why the information had to drop like it did, but it did from both Rossini and Jay Glazer. So again, just kind of take it with a grain of salt and just monitor it and see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think that he just pulled it out of his backside and called it good. I don't see something like that happening. But thanks so much for that. Definitely appreciate you. And we'll close out with a call from Jacob in North Carolina. He's calling to talk about the Maxx Crosby rumors created on Radio Row on Wednesday. Here's Jacob in North Carolina.
Hey, Q. Hey, Artis. Hey, Raider Nation. This is Jacob Mendoza out of beautiful Wilmington, North Carolina. Q, I'm sure that you're probably talking about the Maxx Crosby trade rumors by Jay Glazer today. And if you are, I just want to tell you that there's some YouTubers that have taken this and they're ready to start an angry mob, with the pitchforks in the fire and everything, and just going off on Maxx Crosby. And I just want to inform all of Raider Nation, don't buy the hype. They're probably going to be walking it back. Diana Rossini, I get it, excellent journalist. I don't believe it. Why the heck would Maxx Crosby want to leave the Raiders now? We finally got a quarterback. We got Maxx Crosby in his prime. He's at a good discounted deal. I mean, we're ready to go. I think we're going to be in the Super Bowl next year, And, so I don't understand why all these trade rumors around Maxx Crosby and all the people in Raider Nation are ready to be like, Vios con Dios, man, and I don't believe it, right? I think it's a bunch of crap. I think they're going to be walking it back. But I was thinking if we were to trade Maxx Crosby, I don't want to trade him. I don't want to do it. So if I'm going to trade Maxx Crosby, I already know who I want, all right? I'm going to trade Maxx Crosby and Colton Miller to the Detroit Lions, and I want Penei Sewell. I want him. If I got to get rid of Maxx Crosby, I want Penei Sewell, and I want their first-round draft pick this year, and maybe some other stuff. But I think that's a good deal for both teams. I mean, Detroit, they get a match, an edge rusher. They get the left tackle, right? We get a left tackle of the future, an absolute stud. He's just an all-around Raider, right? And we get a first-round draft pick. So it's old and new, so it's good for the cap. I think it works for both teams. But in all honesty, Maxx Crosby ain't going nowhere, and I like it that way. But I would like to get Penei Sewell somehow. Peace.
Jacob, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. And I understand where you're coming from, no doubt about it, especially the fact that, both these really good reporters dropped the info on the same day. Seems like it was kind of planned. We'll see where this thing goes, if it has some legs to it. But as far as trading for Penei Sewell and a first-round pick, yeah, that'd be great. I think you'd probably sign everybody up for that, but that's no way that's going to happen. Penei Sewell is one of the best in the business, right? And you're going to give him a first-round pick too? No way. Yes, I know Detroit would love to have Maxx Crosby. Every team in the league would love to have Maxx Crosby, but they're not going to break down their offensive line. You know how hard it is to put together an offensive line? First of all, they're not going to break down that offensive line and try to just bring in Maxx Crosby. And, oh, by the way, give up a first-round pick too. That's not going to happen. There's no way that's going to happen. But, again, I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but, yeah, brother, that's not going to happen. But that's a really good call. I do appreciate you. Like I say, we'll see where it goes from here. Still got a text from New York Old School Raider. We'll get 925. We'll that up tomorrow as well. We'll see what happens all day Thursday on Radio Row, what I can collect, what I bring to the table. If there's anything more to this Maxx Crosby story, of course, we'll do that as well. We've got the Raider Squad Show later on this morning. Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, and myself, 7:30 to 8:30, right where I'm sitting. We'll be running it back, doing it once again, and I'll have my head on a swivel as it's going to be very, very busy with a lot of folks running around here early on Thursday morning. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.